Oh, hi there. In my 2023 tier list video, I talked a lot about what might be the best lost media discovery of the year, but I never gave an answer, so I thought I'd come on here, talk it out, and rank what I think are the top 10 best lost media finds of 2023. Starting with some honorable mentions that sadly stops some really fantastic pieces of lost media from breaking into the top 10. The Japanese Most Wanted commercial, the pilot episode of Blue's Clues, Blueprints, the Shrek test animation, and the 2 pilots for Bluey. These are some of my favorites of the year, and I think Blueprints was probably the single most enjoyable find of 2023 for me, but there are a few aspects that keep them out of the top 10. For the Shrek test, we had already found most of it by 2022, Blueprints had long been confirmed to be in the possession of Nickelodeon, the pilot episodes of Bluey were made back in 2017 and 2016, so there was still a chance of them being officially released, and even though the Japanese Most Wanted commercial is an absolute 1 in a million discovery for a piece that had almost taken on a mythical status, but for me, the commercial itself is fairly unremarkable. So those are the honorable mentions. Some very difficult choices right off the bat. But that leads us to my pick for the 10th best lost media discovery of 2023. Turn On, ABC's 1969 experimental sketch comedy show. It remains one of the most infamous moments in television history, cancelled by at least one station mid-episode. Developed by the producers of the highly successful program Laugh-In, the premise is that Turn On is the first computerized TV show where a computer generates skits in front of a stark white backdrop, described by one of its creators as a visual, comedic, sensory assault. Some of the skits were traditional live action, while others used animation, stop motion, and very early motion capture tech. The skits were short, crass, unconventional, and surreal. Basically, they tried to pull off Adult Swim humor about 30 years too early. After its initial airing, the first episode of Turn On never aired again, and its second episode went unreleased entirely. And in October 2023, the YouTube channel Phil Rock uploaded both episodes. They were quickly removed by YouTube, but it was too late. The internet got a hold of them. I'm putting this one at the number 10 spot because we knew ABC still had episodes in their possession, and various clips had emerged over the years. And the episodes were available for in-person viewing only at the Paley Center for Media in New York City for many years. Even though the episodes were already preserved, their release is definitely worthy of the top 10. At number 9 is SpongeBob Behind Closed Doors. I gave this a C tier in my last video because it's just so messed up, but despite my own feelings, I have to acknowledge how insane this discovery is. The full name of these illustrations is Behind Closed Doors. Horrible, filthy, vile, disgusting, inappropriate, off-model drawings by the crew of a popular cartoon show. It's a series of X-rated drawings by various storyboard artists on SpongeBob in the early 2000s. The drawings were compiled and given out to SpongeBob employees. They were just made for fun, never meant to be seen by the public. But it became known to a wider audience in 2012 when SpongeBob animator Kent Osborne discussed the drawings in an interview. Excerpts from this book were leaked to El Supersonic Q in July 2023 by an anonymous former employee at Nickelodeon. I hate that these exist. I understand they're made for fun with no intent of being seen, but man, these really just kind of show the culture at Nickelodeon around this time, and just serves as another reminder of this controversial behind-the-scenes era that they've hopefully moved away from. And with that, we're moving to number 8, Bruce Lee's unfinished film, Game of Death. Bruce Lee passed away in the middle of the film's production, having shot 100 minutes of the movie. Upon his death, the project was completely reworked by Robert Klaus, only using 11 minutes from the initial production, releasing this heavily altered version in 1978. And I'm gonna put it bluntly, this version of the movie is tasteless. It uses stand-ins for Bruce Lee, changes the plot to have the character in disguise to cover up that it's not Lee, employs use of obvious stock footage from Bruce's other projects. There's an infamous scene where a cardboard cutout of Lee is used, and they had the nerve to use video taken from Lee's real-life funeral. Despite these terrible creative decisions, Game of Death gave us a brief glimpse of Bruce Lee's now iconic final performance. And the film's original concept of ascending a tower, defeating progressively more difficult and important enemies, has been used to the point of cliché in other mediums. For a long time, only 30 minutes of raw footage from the unfinished film was released to the public. But in July 2023, Arrow Video released everything. All footage from Bruce Lee's unfinished masterpiece, and a massive documentary about the project. This is basically the best case scenario for this classic piece of lost media. Number 7 is shared by the 3 major Lost Wave discoveries of 2023. These are songs that existed online but were unidentified. No one knew what the song's name was or who made it. And in the case of 2 of these 3 songs, we previously only had short clips to go off of. The first of these mysterious songs is Fond My Mind. In 2013, a 30-second clip was posted to the music identification website What's That Song, and will go on to be called the most mysterious song in Brazil. And based on the most common interpretation of the song, it was named Fond My Mind. After over a decade of searching, William Paiva came forward with the name and artist behind the song. Feels Like a Wish by Station K. William had known the guys who made the song in the 80s and 90s and wound up with a copy of the track that had been sitting in his desk drawer for 30 years. The next mysterious song, How Long Will I Take, was posted to a Ukrainian message board in 2007, being sourced from the menu screen of a Russian DVD compilation of bootlegged movies and TV shows. But after 16 years, an individual by the username _Arabara scoured SOCAN, the Society of Composers, Authors, and Music Publishers of Canada, searching for songs with the words How Long. The song was found to be How Long by Paula Toledo, a Canadian musician who recorded the track in 2003 and licensed it out to movies and TV shows. And the last major Lost Wave discovery, in 2013, YouTuber Filthy Frank, later known as the pop star Joji, uploaded his video, How to Pick Up Girls in 30 Different Cultures, that uses a brief clip of a song that no one could identify, that fans would eventually call the Kenya Dance. The song immediately sparked what would go on to be a decade-plus search for the identity of the song. Over the next 10 years, no real progress was made. Pretty much all we knew was that the song was probably from Uganda, not Kenya. Until YouTuber NB Duckman offered a $300 bounty for anyone who could find the song. The track was immediately discovered by Discord user Damn Peggy, who just googled East Ugandan Gospel before 2013. The song was called Kotanda Alinawe by David Sanjay C. Hopefully these finds will lead to other Lost Wave tracks being identified in 2024. At number 6 is the Beatles' Stowe School performance. This one is unreal. Early in the Beatles' career, they played a live show at the Stowe School in Buckinghamshire on April 4th, 1963, for only £100. Nearly every Beatles performance has some kind of recording, whether it be a video or just audio, but there remain a few performances with no such media, one of them being from this performance in 1963. But really, out of nowhere, 60 years to the date, on April 4th, 2023, the BBC reported that they were in possession of a recording from the concert, made by John Bloomfield, who was 15 at the time of recording. The audio quality is not great, but this is one of the most surprising finds of 2023. Now, moving into the top 5, we see some really wild discoveries. At number 5 is the newly found footage from the Normandy invasion. In 2017, Reddit user Jedi Rain came across a 16mm film reel at an estate sale, labeled restricted. In 2023, they decided to get it digitized, shocked to find that it appeared to be unseen footage from the World War II invasion of Normandy in 1944. The video was taken after the battle, showing Canadian soldiers, and the fact that this evaded preservation for nearly 70 years and still managed to be found, a real piece of history is preserved. From one World War II discovery to another, at number 4 I have the new photos of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. Known as the largest act of Jewish resistance during World War II, the Jewish residents of the Warsaw Ghetto in German-occupied Poland resisted deportation and destruction of the ghetto by the Nazis. They knew victory was impossible, but fought anyways, lasting over a month, longer than some countries did against the Germans. Photos of this uprising were taken by the Germans and include this famous image of an unknown boy who's come to represent all children in the Holocaust. In the years since the uprising, these were the only known photos. But in 2023, the son of the late Polish firefighter Zbigniew Leszek Ziwaszewski found in his father's possession a series of photos from the incident, marking the first images of this tragic piece of world history not taken by the Nazis. Moving on to something a bit lighter, for these last 3 entries, what really separates them from the rest is that we genuinely thought these pieces of lost media were gone for good. We knew they existed at one point and looked everywhere to find them, coming up empty-handed. So with that in mind, at number 3 I have Steely Dan's The Second Arrangement. In late 1979, jazz fusion group Steely Dan were recording their 7th studio album, Gaucho, a follow-up to their iconic record, Asia. The band is known for being absolute perfectionists when it comes to recording, and for Gaucho, they spent a year and a half on the album, employing 40+ musicians, going well over budget in the process. To give you an example of how obsessive they were, for one song on the album, Babylon Sisters, they went through 55 different mixes for just the fade out until they were happy with it. They brought this same energy when it came to recording the song The Second Arrangement. After weeks of rehearsal and recording, they finally got a take they were happy with. When they went to listen back to the results, one of the audio engineers made lost media history when they accidentally deleted 75% of the song. The band tried to re-record The Second Arrangement, but were unable to come up with the magic from the erased recording, and the song went unreleased. In the years since, bootlegs of the song have circulated, from demos with light instrumentation to more complete recordings that are believed to have been unused takes from the 1979 session, and the band even played the song live in 2011. But the recording that was destined for a studio release on Gaucho was believed to be permanently lost with no chance of recovery. But in 2020, Simsy Nichols, the daughter of the late Roger Nichols, a lead recording engineer on Gaucho, announced that the lost recording of The Second Arrangement had been found in the family's possession. This is basically a miracle, and the recording itself is pretty mysterious. It was found on a DAT, digital audio tape, a format that wouldn't be publicly released until 1987, years after the song was recorded. But another lead recording engineer on the album, Gary Katz, confirmed that this is the lost song. And in June 2023, The Second Arrangement was released to the public. At number 2, we have the 1918 documentary, Amazon, the longest river in the world. Which that isn't true, but who's gonna fact check him in 1918? Silvino Santos was a Portuguese filmmaker best known for his documentaries on the Amazon rainforest. One of these documentaries has taken on a mythical status, known as the Holy Grail of Brazilian silent cinema. Amazon, the longest river in the world, was shot in Peru and Brazil over the course of 3 years, showing off the Amazon's diverse landscape, its wildlife, its people, including some of the earliest video of the Watoto people, and documenting the rubber industry of the region. Upon the film's completion, it was stolen by one of the director's associates, who fled to England, where he claimed ownership of the movie, releasing it to widespread acclaim. But by 1931, it had disappeared, and the real director of the film never got to see his movie in theaters. A few years later, he would make another documentary about the Amazon, and it seems like this is an attempt to remake his stolen work. But a copy of this presumed lost film was rediscovered, found mislabeled in a Prague archive. Jay Weisberg, a film expert, doubted the labeling and confirmed it was indeed Silvio Santos's lost film. All of these are insane discoveries, but there's one that tops them all. My 2023 Lost Media Discovery of the Year, the newly unearthed footage from 1917's Cleopatra. This silent film, based on the life of the Egyptian ruler Cleopatra, is among the most sought-after films in history, after its last known print was destroyed in a vault fire in the 1930s. The movie was famous in its time for being one of the most expensive ever made, with lavish costumes and sets that included recreations of the pyramids and the Sphinx, and scenes that utilized over 15,000 extras. In the years since its disappearance, exhaustive searches have been conducted, and 1917's Cleopatra is now generally considered to be lost with no possibility of recovery. Only set photos, stills, and 20 seconds of the 2.5-hour-long movie have been found. But in 2023, 41 additional seconds were discovered in the most unusual way. James Fennell bought a 1920s toy film projector off eBay that included fragments of 1917's Cleopatra. I cannot overstate how unbelievable this discovery is. Easily the best lost media find of 2023. So there it is, my pick for the top 10 lost media discoveries of 2023. Drop your top 10 in the comments, and let me know what you want to see in future videos. Big thanks to my top tier Patreon supporters. Can you say Rocco Mafleur, Miss Dana, Odesta Honeycrisp, and Vinny Cataldo? Thank you all so much. This is Mike with All Things Lost. See you soon.